Silent Hill 2, the remake. First released in October of 2024. Currently available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC platforms. Retailing for $69.99. This is of course a remake of Silent Hill 2, a game originally for the PlayStation 2 released back in 2001, which is a well-regarded and often talked about game. This remake is of the type trying to wholesale replace the original, as in terms of story, it has all the same major events, and at the end of the day does not provide any new revelations about Silent Hill, and I mean that both about the location in-game, and also as a franchise. So, as in the original, we will still play as James Sunderland. And we have come to Silent Hill because we received a letter from our dearly departed wife. The town will be shrouded in fog, and mostly abandoned save for a few NPCs, and of course the various monsters that James honestly seems entirely too calm when encountering. And you do get the impression the town has been abandoned for a long time. Every car you find is rusted, and the buildings are all falling into various levels of disrepair. It's a little hard to actually imagine that Silent Hill was ever a place that a couple would have gone on vacation. The few people that you do encounter don't seem to be having the same experience that James is having. Not to say that any of them are having a good time, they are simply going through their own set of terrifying circumstances. By and large, the NPCs are an improvement over the original. All of them have much better voice acting this time around, and have been changed in other ways, but not in any way that really changes who they are as characters. Although, the redesign of one of the characters, Eddie, doesn't sit right with me. I was under the impression he was meant to be in his early 20s, like a college student or something. And his new design in this version make him look much, much older. At the bare minimum, middle-aged. But then he still acts quite young. There's clearly a clash here between his design and how his character is portrayed. Every area in this game is laid out differently than in the original, and every puzzle is also different than in the original, meaning that any familiarity you had with the original Silent Hill 2 won't really be of much help here. The new puzzles are challenging, but not impossible. However, if you're having an issue, you can change the puzzle difficulty at any time, and the answers do change depending on which level of difficulty you're playing on. And it is nice that you can change the puzzle and combat difficulty independently of one another. So if you enjoy puzzling and not combat, you could turn the puzzles up to hard and the combat down to easy. Or the opposite if you prefer. It all depends what you're good at and what you enjoy, I suppose. The length of this remake is about double that of the original game, and that is primarily because each area in this game tends to linger on just a little longer than it really needs to. In the majority of areas, by the time I thought we should be wrapping things up, it would turn out we were only about halfway done with it. Which is unfortunate, as most of the areas had a very strong start to them, but did not maintain that momentum as you went through them. Boss encounters in this version are also by and large more aggressive. This does make them more intense, but I think also somewhat ruins the point of some of the boss fights. At the end of the day, this remake feels like an alternate take on Silent Hill 2. While it is a very nice looking game, over 20 years between this and the original will do that, it doesn't really have anything new to offer. The same major story beats are hit. There are still multiple endings with somewhat nebulous mechanics as to how you get them, and at the end of the day, you're still not entirely sure what exactly Silent Hill is or what's going on there. Was this a kind of purgatory space? Was this all a delusion in James's head? Or was it something else entirely? There are many ways this game could be interpreted, especially if you're just taking it by itself, and not including anything from any other Silent Hill games. And given that this is a remake of Silent Hill 2, I'm not sure it's entirely valid to take anything from other games in the franchise when interpreting it. But I do think that's a decision best left up to the individual player. So is Silent Hill 2 Remake worth your time and money? And that is a question I've been debating with myself for a while now. And I think if you have a great love and appreciation for the original Silent Hill 2, there isn't a lot of reasons to play this remake. Unless you simply want to play through the same story, but with different puzzles, as there are new puzzles on offer here, but not much else. I think that perhaps this remake is better suited to someone who is not overly familiar with Silent Hill 2, or possibly Silent Hill as a franchise in general. As it hits all of the same major story beats, it simply does it with a more updated presentation, while at the same time making the combat somewhat more palatable to a modern audience. And if you want to be pedantic about it, yes, there are some minor additions to this version. A little detour to a motel, or a brief cutscene in a strip club. But while these are here, they're not really adding much to the experience. And truthfully, they don't really detract from the experience either. They're simply here. An odd, benign, but ultimately pointless addition. Like the original, there is a lot of ambiguity and interpretation involved in this game. To me, this is still a story about one man trying to overcome his guilt. And depending what ending you get, tells you if he was successful in that endeavor or not. So if you played and loved the original, don't bother picking up this remake. There's nothing new for you here. But if you're someone who's never played the original Silent Hill 2, but perhaps have some knowledge of Silent Hill as a franchise, then yes, I think this remake is a worthwhile experience for you to have. As the original Silent Hill 2 is a PlayStation 2 classic, but at this point it can be very difficult to go back and play. And not just because finding a PlayStation 2 game and hardware would be difficult, but more because the gameplay standards of then are very different from the gameplay standards of now. So, it's an odd position to be in, but it's where I'm at with this. If you're unfamiliar with Silent Hill 2, this remake might be perfect for you. Though I'm not sure that's the best way to go about making a remake. And that's definitely a very awkward target demographic to be going for. Please do subscribe, comment, like, and tell your friends.